God bless Texas! So I spent the morning up by McKinney, and I was amazed. Holy mackerel. I mean, in every direction you look, there's the stadium, there's this being built, there's that being, I mean, what's going on here is amazing, plus this group. I love this group. For me, this is the hardest group to speak to because the most of our peers are here, and I have to bring not only my A game, but my A+ game. So there's a lot in this presentation that I'm going to kind of go quickly on because you already have a copy of it. So like the checklist, I'm not going to dig into. I'd rather tell you some heartfelt stories and really good experience stories to get my points across. We will do a few checklists. Again, I'm going to go through these quickly, just kind of point out some high-level things. But I'll start with Bill Leake's SEO philosophy because I love this. And he said this when he was moderating a panel at PubCon, and it stuck with me. I told him I repeat it, and he actually repeats it pretty frequently now. But he said Google's updates have brought SEO back to the USA. Also includes yesterday's tactics. Tomorrow's SEO has to be done here. And this is a very valid point. I think this speaks a lot to even what Brett said about companies going back to the experts, because there's so many things changing. And to do it the right way, we have to be very educated, stay on top of our game, be able to test things, be able to read, but be able to be just in the now, go to the latest conferences, and really be on top of our game. We've had changes. We now have Google or Panda 4.2. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Quote me on that one. Whoop-de-doo-dah. It's going to roll out over months. What does that mean for SEOs? It means we're not going to be able to tell what it did if it rolls out over months. We've got Penguin updates. I had a prospect that I actually presented on years ago. They had a terrible negative SEO campaign under them. And they had the penalty wiped out, but their traffic hasn't come back. They're waiting for these Penguin refreshers we're supposed to be getting, but we're not. And Pigeon, I mean, look what happened on, was it Tuesday? The same day as announcement of the alphabet, and now we're dropped down to 3 local results. I mean, that's going to change. Shake your head, no? That was temporary? No. Oh, you're hating it, yeah. I mean, if we drop down to 3 local results, that changes the game for a lot of our, especially local clients, and what's going to do to traffic. And that just happens. We're not going to see the results of that for weeks in terms of traffic. But one thing that really weighs heavily on me is that we are now in the post-Matt Cutts era of SEO. And that's a bigger deal to some of the old school SEOs because Matt Cutts was incredibly calculated. He said things in a manner that we would all dig into and that decipher the best we could. But he said great things. And he said things that really, they stuck by. Since Matt Cutts, it's not the same. But he was the lightning rod of our industry. And think about that. I mean, that's a tough job, be the lightning rod of an industry, where every time you're going someplace, people are complaining. But I can tell you the last time that he keynoted at PubCon, I introduced him, there was a line down the convention center, and it was a line for people to take pictures with him. Pictures with him. Not complain, not argue. They just wanted their picture with Matt Cutts, because he became like the superstar of our industry, and now he's retired. So what that means is that we have this void, and I'm not sure where this void is going to be filled. This is the first time I've ever used his picture in a presentation. I can tell you I moderate a lot at PubCon, and I swear his picture is used in every presentation. It's the first time I've ever done it. But now we are not really sure who's going to replace him. And the messages that we're getting, mobile getting. When did Matt Cutts ever say on this specific date something was going to happen? Never. He gave us time frames. It could happen, it will happen, Q2, next month. But we had a specific date. What did that specific date do? It caused panic. It allowed unscrupulous companies to start selling these low-quality mobile packages that they shouldn't have been selling because we had this date that after it passed, we all looked back and said, oh, well, mobile getting didn't even happen. Now what happened? Now we're 3 months out, 4 months out. We look back and just look at your July traffic. Go into your analytics and look at the trajectory of your organic search traffic. Separate by device category. If mobile is not on a higher trajectory than desktop, you actually have a problem because mobile searches are increasing. And if it's flat or below, now you have a problem with mobile changes. And like Brett said, the new head is a mobile guy. So we really have to be thinking about this. But the messaging that we got caused this mobile getting panic that at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, it looked like nothing happened. It was Y2K all over again. My checklist that I'm going to go very quickly on. Live and breathe Google Search Console, formerly Google Webmaster Tools. Companies I work with that have teams that really stay up on this sometimes blow me away. That I'll be in a meeting and like, oh, we noticed these 404 pages. I was like, wow, I didn't even catch that yet. You're doing a great job. I mean, these are great things to live by. Have a checklist of what your team should be doing, whether you're an agency or in-house, but the checklist will really help you here. Ongoing SEO, have a content plan. A website by itself is not going to sit there and keep growing, unless you're doing a lot of branding. But have a content plan, have a regular content plan and stick to it. If there's turnover in the company, make sure somebody else picks that up. The meeting I was at earlier, the company got acquired, and they lost half of their staff. What they're actually doing to keep up with the content is they're shutting down websites so they can focus on the websites that were doing well. I mean, that's a sad story, but at least they realize that they have to focus on something with the resources they have. Link building, Brett said it. We saw the submissions for people who want to speak about link building. Link building is taboo again. Why is link building taboo? Because the messages we're getting from Google is saying it's taboo. Are there any SEOs in this room not doing link building? Raise your hand. Okay, thanks. We'll talk later. Everybody else, you're still doing link building. And link building works, but it has to be done properly. I still like portfolio style. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Don't just do one type of link building. Do a variety. Everything in moderation, without standing tactics, can help you. It might be incremental, but it adds up over time. So link building is not something we abandon. It's something we still have to embrace. It just has to be done carefully. Quarterly link audits. That same person that I'm meeting with a couple days ago that had the negative SEO attack done to them, they're like, really, quarterly? Shouldn't we be doing negative link, checking monthly? And I was like, no. I mean, I don't think so. It depends on the industry you're in. If you're in a really slimy industry, maybe. But quarterly is pretty good, because Google doesn't pick up those links that quickly anyways. But if you're quarterly checking for low-quality backlinks, I think you're doing a good job. But keep those disavow files updated, because over the past 2 years, I've worked on quite a few sites that will maybe borderline in the link profiles and continue to grow organically. And at all costs, and I talked a lot about this last year, avoid shortcuts. No automated programs, no quick solutions, they don't work. Local SEO, so here's my story. I had an unbelievable opportunity to pick up an 800 location business. Unbelievable opportunity. I got 50 locations that the existing agency was managing, put them into Yext, which is an automated platform. We put ours into Moz, and then we had a 50-group control set. So we did Moz, submits to all of the aggregators. They submitted to Yext, submits to all the aggregators. But then we did all of the best practices, local SEO work. We cleaned up the listings. We removed duplicates. We made sure the NAPs matched. What ended up happening was our average Moz score, and that was our goal, was 86. We started at like 30. We got them up to 86. The Yext group, we checked, their average was about 36. But the actual results of organic traffic were almost dead even between the Yext and the Moz, and the control group was way below. So kind of the short lesson of that, and that was before the 3-pack changed 2 days ago, was that at least if you're doing some kind of aggregator submission, you're doing something in a positive direction versus not doing it and just having a Google My Business feed. And that's what they had because there's so many locations. But what was a little discerning was that all of that extra work we didn't see. And we had a 90-day time frame to prove it wasn't there. Now, one of the stories that's a little bit hidden here is that inside Google My Business is a whole set of insights that you can't get out. So we actually had a new hire, that was one of her first jobs, go and manually document each insight in Excel. It's pretty miserable. Guess what? It only goes 30 days back, 60 days, or 90 days back from that moment in time you're doing the report. So you can't even choose month time frames. So this is incredibly tedious. I spoke to quite a few people in the industry that are very involved in local. Everyone said there's no real dashboard answer for lots of locations, at least yet. But this is something that we need because when we ran it, we did see that there was a little bit more engagement when we looked at the insights on the better built out Google Local, Google My Business pages. But it still wasn't enough that I was awarded the 800, so kind of sad story there. Add managers to your account so that you don't have to worry about ownership or losing ownership. It's always good to have that backup. Article SEO. Will Scott came up with a concept years ago. If you've not heard of it, it's still awesome. It's relevant. With the 3-pack change, it might be even more relevant right now. Barnacle SEO means you want to rank on sites that rank for your keywords. So if you're doing a search for best pizza restaurant and the top 3 results are yellow pages and city search, you better make sure that you are showing up on those sites. You're getting an SEO value for being on those sites because they're linking back to you anyways, but if those sites are already ranking, like a Barnacle, you're trying to catch that nutrient, or in this case, that consumer flowing through those sites. Very important for local. Now, future SEO. Brett does an amazing job seeing trends, predicting. I'm not that good at it. I'm good at tactical. Like, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do now. And it was a joke in the beginning, whether this is 2 years out or 20 minutes out. I mean, that's how quick things change in the industry, although some things SEO have been pretty stable. So everything I'm going to cover now, I'm going to do a quick, like this is where I think it's going, but then this is how we deal with it. So brand. Brand is a big deal. Brand is going very heavy into the algorithm. I talk to a lot of people that see these back-end things going on, have these cool ideas and run big tests. One of the things we're talking about here is brand. Brand is important. Brand makes sense. Brett said we've got potentially this new movement into these graphic-only sites. Kind of reminds me of Flash, and now we go back to link building. But take that out. We need brand. Google's pushing brand. Google's pushing brand just by what they did in Google Analytics, taking away keywords. Google wants you to spend money on your brand and drive brand traffic through search, cool. But make people aware of your brand. When you make people aware of your brand, you're also making them aware of what you do, so it does work. Brand signals can come in social profiles, can come in news, can come even in your local build-outs, which show that you're a real company. Not that you're the best search marketing conference in Dallas, but you're DFWSEM. And DFWSEM has a footprint on the web that is very easy for Google to find. The tactical, traditional PR. Oh, I love traditional PR. I don't know if there's any people in the room that hold me up for traditional PR. All right. Traditional PR, it works amazingly well. Now, I was around when online PR was very big and it worked. It was great for SEO. But traditional PR creates earned media. Traditional PR, real traditional PR, still has relationships with people, shopping stories, with people they can reach out to get stories placed, and you get earned media with real links. Now here's what when I say that, here's what happens when this is over, people come up to me. Well, I still work, I work in PR, and they tend to be younger. And this doesn't exist anymore. There's no more editors. They all got fired and laid off. Like, somebody's still writing those articles, so you might not have those connections that the old school PR people have, but find those old school PR companies because they can give you some great work on brand and SEO here. Make sure you're socializing your content. When you're doing traditional advertising, like Brett said, omni-channel. And we got to be thinking about that message being everywhere. If you decide, we got all my sons in the room, if you decide you're going to commit to star move as your phone number, that star move better be on everything. It better be on the business cards, it better be on the billboards, it better be on the commercials, the Mavericks team sponsorships. I mean, that star move needs to permeate everything because that's part of the message. Review strategy. I just recently started working with Trustpilot a little bit. I've worked with a couple others. Trustpilot is pretty cool. It's expensive. Signpost came to me through a client, and now we partnered with them. Signpost is really neat because it's a much lower cost. So if any of you work with blue-collar companies that really can't afford CRM solutions, even though Signpost sells itself as a review strategy, it's really a CRM solution for a small business. It's pretty neat. Future SEO mobile. Again, we've heard mobile again. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You guys get it at this point. We need mobile responsive sites. If we go with a mobile-only site, we've got a lot of questions of SEO, of how does Google understand where the links should be going, where the content really is. Responsive is the better design here. But take the time to check it's mobile friendly in the test in the Google testers, and also check it on multi-browsers, because an Android browser may look different than an iPhone browser, and that really can change things in terms of how the page renders, the conversions you might get off of it. The tactical. You definitely have to have a mobile-friendly design. I like responsive over having a separate site. Make sure you're doing version testing, the user experience. Now here's my next story. So I had a prospect come in, cool guy. He wants to do SEO, wants to do pay-per-click, wants to do all this stuff. So we go dig into his analytics. We look at his analytics. These are rough numbers, but the percentages are about right. He sells discount eyewear, basically the same thing you get from like Walgreens or your local convenience store. He's getting 1,000 visitors a day. Of the 1,000 visitors, 600 are coming from desktop, 400 are coming from mobile. Of the 600 coming from desktop, he's getting 40 sales a day. Of the 400 coming from mobile, no sales. None. Not one. That's 40% of his traffic, which means that of those sales, he should be able to get another 30 sales just if his site would work on a mobile device. So I said, I'm sorry, don't sign with me, don't do anything with me. Go, get your site mobile friendly, and make the money you're going to make because your site's mobile friendly, and then come back to me with that money, and then let's do everything else. Because you don't waste your time on other things when you've got this obvious moneymaker that's right here in front of you, and you're blowing it because the site's not converting. The Internet of Things. The Internet of Things. Like you see the next slide. This is wild. I mean, when you hear about the Internet of Things and really where we can go with the Internet of Things, and this is something we have to be thinking about on a regular basis. Now, for search and organic search, it's kind of tough. For paid search and opportunities, it's another story. But I had dinner with Roger Dooley, who actually had to come out here to see, but I had dinner with him in Cincinnati, and he told me he was consulting on a project where advertisers were going to advertise in games based on sentiment. So if they're playing, sorry, I'm not a Minecraft guy, if they're playing Angry Birds and they can't beat that level, you can get a bonus bird by liking Coca-Cola. Wow. Wow, think about that. Now, you know, not everybody's Coca-Cola is going to spend money on something like that. Yeah. Moolah? I don't. All right. But I mean, that's what the company was focusing on, was advertising based on sentiment at that moment. You could tell whether the person was happy and you would reward them, or they were angry and they needed something. But that was very specific advertising in-game. It was based on your feelings. So voice search, Eric Ang in PubCon training does an amazing job of showing you how Google now will recognize pronouns. So if I said, how do I get to the Norris Center in Dallas? And then the next query, or the next voice query is, where is it? How far away is it? How long will it take me to get there? It knows it is the Norris Center. Pretty cool. If you've never tried it, try it, because it still blows me away. It works really well if you say, like, where's the Empire State Building? How do I get there? And it'll give you all the different ways to get there. It's cool. But Google now, and it's still part of Google search, but that's the voice search, is recognizing that. Wearables, I mean, I don't have a Fitbit, but imagine you're sending signals back to your phone. Google knows what's going on in your phone. It's Android, what your heart rate is, and send you advertising based on that. Nest and now Nest Cam. Drop Cam was cool. Nest Cam is potentially going to be cooler. Google knows when you're in your house based on your AC, and they can show you different ads because of your phone. They know you're connected to your home phone network. I mean, wild things that we're going to have combinations of this data to do. Smarter phones, S Health. I mean, there's a new, I'm just on the next slide. Samsung's got something new coming out. The Tesla. Dwayne Forrester did his closing keynote at PubCon talked about the advertising in Tesla. That Tesla knows where you're at, it's live on the internet, and that there's specific advertising you can do for as you're driving by places and show up on the screen because you're in Tesla. I mean, that's opportunities that are coming. And then the smart cars. So here, again, let's do another Vegas story. So in Vegas, 2 years ago, when we were at the Hard Rock, I had the coolest cabs ever because the cabs had tablet advertising on the ceilings, and it was geo-based. So you saw ads based on the hotel you were picked up at and where you were at in the strip. And it worked perfectly, and it was really well developed. Think about what Google can do with self-driving smart cars. I mean, I picture walking into a car with no driver and screens being all the way around me running ads. And why not? I mean, why wouldn't you want to pay for that audience? I mean, think about, again, Vegas. Wouldn't you pay for that audience? The Google smart cars are going to be free because they're going to be paid for by advertising that you're going to see. IoT Daily, I love media posts. This started coming out extra. You may not be paying attention to it if you delete all media post emails you get, but if you don't get them, these are cool. I mean, look at some of these headlines. Internet connections coming, 25 billion things on 4 billion people. Samsung patent would use phone sensors to measure body fat. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming in the Internet of Things that we have to be aware of. So what's the tactical here? We have to keep our eyes wide open. We have to be aware that these channels are here and be able to think of those ideas, whether it's advertising a game where somebody is frustrated, or whether it's somebody's body fat content is 4% and they were going to buy protein drinks. This is another one. So again, I said I get to hear I meet with some pretty creative people, and I say creative in a nice way, of SEO. And one of the things that I've been sold recently on, I mean sold, is that video is a big coming war ground for Google. Google does not want to lose YouTube being the #2 search engine, the #2 site on the web. Is it Facebook jumping? I don't know that. But Google does not like seeing a stat that says that there's more views on Facebook video than there is on YouTube. So what this means for SEOs to be thinking about is, does that mean that video is going to be getting more of a lift back in search, pushed back into areas where we're going to see it be able to utilize that? Because Google wants it to be there. So they want to be there really thinking, should we start developing more videos? I mean, video SEO kind of had its time, but it might be coming back because Google doesn't want to lose this. I had lunch with a lot of cool people. I had lunch with Brent Thesaurus in Boca, and toward the end of lunch he said, SEOs just don't get social media. SEOs think that you go to social media and you're posting up a sign, go over there. I was like, wow, you're right. I mean, that's what I do with social media. I don't even log on my Facebook. I mean, the random picture I put, I signed up for Instagram 2 days ago, and I just put a picture of Brett up there with a cool slide. Not my thing. When I tell my people to use social media for SEO, that's all we're doing. We're going to those sites and we're setting up a link back to our site. But that's not real engagement with those sites. So what we have to be thinking of is, what's the tactical ways to be using social media sites beyond just SEO? And that's to engage the audience in their environment. So if Facebook is really a play, it needs to be a play inside of Facebook, and find ways to utilize how you keep that user in Facebook and don't always try to pull them away in terms of SEO. Twitter, obviously, cool again. Google likes them again. Helps crawling, cool. Pinterest, cool, long-term SEO value. We've got that structure. You post something on Twitter, it's gone. You post something on Facebook, in 24 hours, it's gone. You post something on Pinterest, it's not going anywhere. So Pinterest is great for long-term SEO stuff. Google+, I don't know if it's going to be here tomorrow, but as long as it's still here today, I like that Google Circle outreach. I like adding the communities. And what's the new one? What's categories or? Collections. Collections, thank you. Collections is supposed to be really hot. I mean, you start going and playing collections, you get a lot of circles back. Circle back rates can be anywhere from 20 to 40% if you have real content on your Google Plus page. So really easy way to build your circles there. The dark side. So I do have TIE fighters on today, so I'll play a little bit on the dark side. I usually have R2s on. But TIE fighters. We have to be careful with this. I'm not saying we do this. And actually, I would say that negative SEO this year, 2015, has not, at least for me, has not been a problem with clients. And I haven't had anybody coming to me saying, like, look, somebody bought a bunch of bad links and got our site knocked down. Not perfectly sure why, because it's worked really well last year, but this year it's been kind of calm. But still, we have to keep an eye out for it. So we monitor backlinks, make sure that we're not seeing a bunch of weird referring sites. That could say that we've got a virus on our site or somebody hacked our site. But these are kind of simple ways that we can engage that nobody's trying to do something malicious against us. Speed up. What's the future? The future is search optimization, not just search engine optimization. And this, I think, dovetails well into what Brett was saying, this omni-channel. I mean, when he took that graph of everything that we do, it all kind of centers back around optimization. And it's search optimization. It's not just search engine, because it means a lot of different things. So we have to optimize wherever our audience is. We have to optimize around app content. We have to think about optimization and search optimization, not just search engine optimization. So tactical here. We maximize on-site SEO, and that's a given. Schema, given. Open graph tags. Easy enough. They're social. Why not? I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I made it this far through the presentation. I didn't say it once. Really? We're going to write another article about content marketing? Write another slide about content marketing? No, not again. We get it. I mean, we get it. Content marketing, we get it. Right? Everybody gets it here? Heard it? It's been like feed into you. Content marketing. Obviously, I mean, content marketing is taking SEO to a whole new level if it's done right. But content marketing means different things. So what's our future? I mean, our future is bright. And I have proof that our future is bright because there's too many needs. And they're going to be little SEOs. So, see the little one? I can do this. All right. I saw this in a TV commercial. I was like, wow, I got to quote that because I like that. The best way to predict our future is to create it. Brett said something interesting in the beginning. I truly believe it. SEOs, we control the undercurrent of the internet. We control trends of where people move around sites. Pinterest in the beginning, if SEO didn't love it, I don't know that it would have rocketed to the top. I mean, we've kept a lot of sites alive. The kind of like the second-tier SEO sites that were kind of funny social sites, but we control it. Now, many of you in this room may have caught yourself saying that line at the top, and I recently caught myself saying it, and I was like, you know what, this is worth a couple minutes. I'm one of the good guys. How often do you have to defend yourself to a client? Or if you're on the client side, how often do you have to defend the companies you work with that they're the right company? And are they using sales tactics like this? So I was in a meeting with the agency team, and they weren't even aware of some of this stuff, and they couldn't believe it when I said it. But companies call and say your site's penalized. Plenty of companies call and say that they're Google. I love this one. Your pay-per-click display URL doesn't work. Well, it's a display URL. It's not clickable. Well, how come you can cut and paste it and put it in the browser and the link doesn't work? I mean, companies are using that as a sales tactic. Ridiculous keyword clicks. I see this a lot. You'll actually take they'll know what keywords on phrase match, add some ridiculous keywords to it, click on it a bunch of times, and then tell the company to look at their search query. Why is somebody clicking on this? Well, because you clicked on it. We actually caught a company doing it because we went to that keyword and went to Google Analytics and looked at the city, and all the clicks came from the same city where they had these ridiculous clicks. Like, come on, guys. Scanning your analytics. Have you guys seen this one? This one's pretty neat. I mean, it was creative. You go into your referrals, and there's SEO tools, checkUsOut.com. I mean, like, really? That's where you're going to advertise in your analytics? I mean, now, granted, it was pretty smart. You did get to the right person, because they're going to be like, why am I getting all this traffic from SEO tools? Buynow.com. And then the slimy stuff, where companies force you to lose ownership of anything that should never happen. So, if you are one of the good guys, these are things that you have to abide by. Transparency, communication, reporting, quality work, client education is huge. Let the clients understand when these people call that they're not Google and they're not really penalized. And go that extra mile. I mean, here I think about Tony Hsieh and Amazon. I mean, how many of you that are on the agency side, when somebody calls, my website's down, can you help? And you're not responsible for that, but you're going to help get to the web person and get things done because you go that extra mile, and that's what makes the difference. The takeaways: maintain your checklist at the beginning. Have that branding plan. SEOs, I always like saying this, adapt to what's current, or PPC. Really should be both. Social be relevant, goal be in compliance. But this last one, traffic. Traffic is something to really think about, because when I first started in this industry in 2000, traffic was banner ads, and it was all low quality traffic, but it was lots of traffic. And then we moved to like high quality SEO and high quality traffic and converting traffic. But now we're going back to a time where, again, omnichannel marketing, we have to think about this traffic. I mean, we have clients asking for, well, how can I get more traffic? It's not just about great keywords and good pay-per-click and good social. It's more traffic. And that's where like the Googlers of the world and the Outbrains, and there's new ways to think about how to get low-cost traffic from things like content marketing. So traffic, I think, is something that agencies and even clients have to really think about. And this is my final thought. My father-in-law last week told me a story about, he was in the vending business, about his first Pac-Man machine. And he says the guy calls him, and he had a Pong machine in a bar. And he said, I have this Pac-Man machine, $6,000. He said, I'm not paying $6,000. He said, take the machine, have it for a month. He puts the machine in, replaces the Pong. Pong did okay. The first day they go to the Pac-Man machine, the whole bottom of that wood was full of quarters. They couldn't believe it. Like, they really couldn't believe it. They had to go to a truck, they had to get more buckets to get all the quarters out of there. The Pac-Man machine paid for itself within 2 weeks. But what do we do today? We play on our phones. We got Minecraft and Angry Birds. And the Pac-Man vending machines are gone, long gone. Gone. Ancient. He's an old guy, but he's retired. I mean, thank God he's not in that business anymore. My dad was in the guard business. I grew up in the guard business. The guard business is a service industry. We are in a service industry. We service websites. We service clients. We service everybody that needs traffic. And that's why our industry isn't going anywhere. Our industry is powerful, it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to be valuable as long as the people doing the work can say, I'm the good guy. That's it. Thank you very much.